are concerned about the substance of the way in which this government is handling, particularly handling criminal justice legislation. On the first point, Mr. Speaker, my colleague from Edmonton St. Albert made much of the fact that this bill had gone through the Senate, which the government now effectively controls, and therefore the House of Commons, which is now receiving the bill, and the government's the one who decided to put it into the Senate, not us. So they decided to put it into the Senate, and miracle of miracles, because they control the makeup of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, they managed to get it through without any changes or any amendments. And then when it comes to the House of Commons, and the House of Commons deals with the legislation, and the House of Commons decides that it should be amended, if that's in fact what the Commons decided, it's what the committee decided, and we'll just see whether or not it is what the House of Commons decides. At that point, the government takes great offense and says, well, you know, if you amend this bill, then that effectively means that we're going to have to go back to the Senate again, and this is their most powerful reason for not providing any amendments. Mr. Speaker, to say that I'm unimpressed with this approach is putting it mildly. The problem we've had with this government in both of its apparitions, the first apparition in 2006 and the second apparition in 2008, is that they have never understood what it means to govern in a minority parliament. Sur cette situation, c'est clair, Monsieur le Président, que le gouvernement n'a jamais accepté le fait qu'ils sont dans une minorité et qu'ils n'ont pas de choix sauf d'accepter la possibilité des amendements à leur législation s'ils veulent avoir une loi sur tel ou tel sujet. Et c'est pourquoi, aujourd'hui, j'ai parlé d'une maladie qui existe dans ce gouvernement, d'un déficit démocratique qui est le problème de ce gouvernement depuis son arrivée. Et quand je vois la performance des ministres répondant aux questions à la Chambre des communes, jamais répondre à une question, seulement attaquer celui qui pose la question, jamais faire face aux substances de ces questions, toujours attaquer, 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 ça n'a rien à faire avec le dialogue démocratique. Et je parle comme quelqu'un, je suis là dans la vie publique depuis plus de 30 ans, et je peux vous dire que dans ma vie politique, je n'ai jamais vu une telle performance de la part d'un gouvernement qui est supposé d'appuyer la notion de la démocratie. Mr. Speaker, I've never seen such a performance as I've seen from this government since my election here in this place in 2008. Never answer a question of substance, never deal with an issue of substance. The only method that they know how to deal with any question is to attack the character, attack the personality, attack something else, attack history, attack some other point. Well, Mr. Speaker, now they turn around and say, oh my gosh, we have an amendment here, and we're not prepared to deal with the amendments to this legislation. Well, I have news for this government. There will be lots of amendments to a legislation that they propose. There will be lots of discussions, and there may from time to time even be defeats if they persist in this approach of saying it's my way or the highway. It is not the way to conduct the public affairs of a country. It's not the way to conduct the public affairs of a province. And it's not a way to conduct the public business of Canada. And as we see it day by day, the corrosive effect of the attitude which this government continues to display, of the way in which it continues to present itself to this House and to the people of Canada, it increasingly attacks the very notion of... I find it so ironic that it's the Reform Party, Mr. Speaker, that came to this House with all of its ideas about how they were going to restore democracy. This government has shown a systematic contempt for parliamentary democracy. They know nothing of respect for the parliamentary process. They complain about amendments being brought forward by the opposition. Of course there will be amendments. It's our right and it's our responsibility to bring forward amendments. And for this government to say, we will not deal with them, we will not treat with them, we will not ever compromise, we will not negotiate, we will not make any arrangements to allow legislation to go through, and that's the way we're going to govern, well, that's tough for them, Mr. Speaker, because if that's the way they're going to govern, then we have no option, Mr. Speaker, but to say we will stand in our places and fight and fight and fight again because this is an approach to democracy which simply cannot be allowed to stand. Mr. Speaker, the government claims that they're concerned about the economy. The government says to us, member from Peterborough was up on his feet yesterday saying to us, why would you bring up issues of the Charter when you should be worrying about jobs? Well, I would say to the member for Peterborough, show me the legislation you're bringing forward that deals with jobs. Every single item you're bringing forward, you're going to make the criminal code, it's going to be bigger than the Encyclopedia Britannica if you guys are allowed to get away with this.
Order. I just do have to take this opportunity to remind the member for Toronto Centre that he does have to address his comments to the chair and not directly at other colleagues.
I've only been here for 30 years. I can't get used to not using the phrase you guys. I apologize. But I can only say, Mr. Speaker, that the approach to criminal justice that's being taken by this government is an approach that is not going to affect, it's not going to reduce, it's not going to reduce the level of crime one iota. Every jurisdiction in the United States which has attempted the approach which is being now taken on by the Government of Canada, every jurisdiction is coming back to us and saying, please don't do what we did. Do not do what we did. We have British politicians coming to us, Mr. Speaker, and saying emphatically to us, our prisons are overflowing. We did not realize what the impact of some of our legislation was going to be. How have you managed to keep things under control? And I look at them and I say, well, we did manage for a considerable period of time with a crime rate that's been going down and not going up, with a protection of the public that's been going up and not going down. And the only message this government over here knows is fear. Fear, fear, and fear again, which has nothing to do with the reality on the ground and with the need to prevent. Do they have a crime prevention strategy? No. Are they encouraging those communities that want to prevent crime? No. Are they working with the provinces to make sure that we deal with gangs in schools and with violence on our streets? No, they're not. Their only answer is lock them up, throw away the key, let's be done with it, minimum sentences, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's the only approach this government knows, Mr. Speaker. It's not an approach worthy of the name. It does not pass muster when it comes to dealing with the challenges and problems that we have as a country, and it does not deal effectively with the problem that we have, which is, yes, do we have a problem of crime? Every country has a problem of crime. A problem of crime that comes out of poverty, a problem of crime that comes out of insecurity, a problem of crime that comes out of addiction, a problem of crime that comes out of drug dependence, a problem of crime that comes out of alcohol dependence, a problem of crime that comes out of hopelessness and no opportunity. This government doesn't get that. This government's answer to those people is to say, we're simply going to lock you up and we're going to throw away the key. So I want to say, Mr. Speaker, yes, we're going to be moving amendments to this particular bill. We're going to be hoping that our colleagues in the opposition and whoever has the will to stand up on the other side will stand up and do with it. And if the government says, well, this is very inconvenient of us because we got this bill crystal clear through with no amendments and no discussion through the Senate and there was no problem, well, as we say in French, Mr. Speaker, tant pis, too bad. Ça, c'est le problème pour le gouvernement. Ce n'est pas notre problème, Monsieur le Président. Notre obligation comme opposition, c'est de poser des questions, de faire des amendements, d'écouter les témoins qui viennent devant les comités, comme on a dû dans ce cas-ci, et de continuer avec une approche qui est positive, qui est responsable et qui va faire face aux problèmes de crime au lieu de toutes les choses qui sont apportées ici dans la Chambre par le gouvernement. Monsieur le Président.
Questions and comments.